Both faculty members and professionals can experience workload creep. Workload creep happens when employees are asked to take on additional tasks without compensation or compensatory time. Let's talk about how you can handle this situation. Here's a common scenario. Your supervisor asks you to cover work tasks that an employee who recently left used to do. You say, "I wish I could, but I'm already swamped with other work." The supervisor then comes back to you later in the day and says, "But we could really use your help and I have no one else to turn to." You again decline, citing all the other work that you've got to do. Finally, your supervisor tells you that you are required to or directed to do the work as part of your regular duties. It's important that you clarify with your supervisor that the tasks that they want you to do is a directive or not. If it is a directive, you have to do the work or you may be subject to discipline for insubordination. It is at this point that the clock for your extra work starts. In other words, if your supervisor did not talk about any sort of compensation for the extra work or responsibility, you have 4 months to work with the labor relations specialist to correct this. Otherwise, the work will be yours until your job changes. We suggest that you document the date and the conversations you had with your supervisor regarding this task at this point. Whether it's a directive or a choice, to perform the task or take on the extra duties or responsibilities, you have some compensation or compensatory time options. Let's talk about your options that should be explored before the 4-month time period is up. The first is compensatory time or comp time. All UUP professionals are entitled to this benefit who have worked beyond their professional obligation of 37.5 hours per week. This is appropriate for work occasionally performed, such as working an open house, attending a conference over the weekend, or covering a game. You should arrange comp time before you put in the extra hours to avoid any misunderstandings. Also, understand it is not on a 1 hour equals 1 hour basis. It is also important to document your comp time agreement with your supervisor through an email. An example might be,
"This email is to confirm our mutual agreement that I will not be reporting to work on Monday, March 10th. This is in recognition of my work on Saturday, March 8th that went beyond my normal professional obligation. For attendance purposes, I will be regarded as being present to allow sufficient evidence of meeting my professional obligation."
A second option is to get also receives pay. Academic and professional employees may be asked to assume responsibility that is in addition to, and substantially increases or expands the scope of the employee's normal professional responsibilities, but that may be completed during their regular professional obligation. The assignment is usually limited in nature or may be aligned with a responsibility where the additional compensation will end when the assignment and/or funding ends. The State University of New York may compensate annually paid professional employees a maximum of 20% of the employee's total salary on an annual basis. Exceptions to amounts over 20% must be requested in writing from the campus president, along with a justification and expected duration for approval. The policy can be found below. A third option is to get extra service pay for work or duties beyond that normally required by the professional obligation as defined by the individual's performance program. Extra service is defined in 2 ways. 1. Work performed by academic and professional staff in a payroll agency, other than the payroll agency, to which the employee is regularly assigned. An example would be performing work at another SUNY institution. 2. Work performed by academic and professional staff at their own campus that is different from or in addition to an individual's professional obligation. Compensation for extra service is not to exceed an amount equal to 20% of base annual salary in any academic or calendar year beginning July 1st or September 1st, as appropriate. The policy can be found at. Finally, you have the option to volunteer for the work. If you are willing to perform the work without additional compensation, you should document that you are taking on the extra task. An example email to your supervisor might look like,
"I, professional employee, am voluntarily taking on the tasks listed below on Monday, March 10th and ending on Friday, July 1st. These tasks are above and beyond the tasks that are listed in my performance program and/or part of my normal professional obligation. I understand that I will receive no compensation, nor comp time for performing such tasks. If at any time, I feel that these tasks can no longer be performed, I am able to willingly, without any repercussions, cease performing these tasks." You would then list the tasks below.
In these circumstances, it's important that you document the incident. Contact the UUP office if your supervisor is disagreeable about compensating you. You need to do this before 4 months go by or you'll get stuck doing the task and not being compensated. Finally, reach out to the UUP office by calling 716-276-3377 if you have questions or need clarification.